Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 16th. Right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Check out our next frontal system approaching the Pacific Northwest. Clouds just now starting to approach the coastline. So you'll notice that change here. And then this system is going to bring some precipitation. We'll check out the details on that. A stronger system arrives this weekend, a more proper fall blustery system. And we'll dive into those details. And the extended forecast continues to look pretty interesting as we go towards the later portion of October. So we'll dive into that a little bit here as well. Looking at Quilly, you can kind of see the clouds moving in from this initial system. Tomorrow, not too bad. There might be some breaks out there. We're dealing with a pretty nice day, transient ridge moving across the area. But then as we go through this weekend, you can see the next batch of clouds rolling through and the next round of precipitation. And taking a look here across the region, temperature-wise, look at southwest BC. Pretty chilly out there, all things considered. Of course, over the water, you're moderated a bit there. But you can see some of the surrounding areas outside of Seattle. Look at that. Some areas are below freezing here this morning. So be careful out there in case there is any black ice. And you can see up and down the I-5 corridor as well. We go into eastern Washington. You see Spokane hanging out in the 30s. Actually, some lower 20s just north of Spokane showing up. Look at Moses Lake at 27 degrees this morning. Go down across portions of Oregon, Willamette Valley. Again, pretty chilly here across a lot of the Pacific Northwest. So taking a look at Friday morning, I wanted to show you the contrast here because we're going to have some clouds moving over on through the day today. It's going to allow us not to cool down as much as we go through tomorrow morning. It's still a bit chilly there, Cascades East, but you see, I mean, this is 4 in the morning here. Apparent temperature for Seattle tomorrow morning, much warmer. So you notice that little bit of a bump in the temperatures as you go out tomorrow morning. And it's not too late to get your own weather station for the crazy weather coming up. Also, plus, just walking out the door and you want to take a look on your smartphone at a glance and see what the temperature is, and this builds a forecast for you. It tells you if the pressure's rising or falling. It'll tell you if it's raining outside. You don't even have to look out the window if you don't want to. But yeah, great weather station. Click on the link down below to save 10%. So here we go. The last storm system moving through California, which in turn was the storm system that came down, our last one for the Pacific Northwest as well. But then there goes Thursday's system there, kind of impacting some of the Pacific Northwest. I'll show you some of the impacts of that here in a moment. But then the stronger frontal system arrives here as we go through this weekend. So be prepared for that. And then probably another system at some point next week. You can see it bearing down as we go towards the end of last night's European model run. This is Tuesday night. Next system on the way by that time looks likely. Now taking a look here at the European model. So here's Thursday's system. Better precipitation amounts northern Vancouver Island, western BC. It does bring some precipitation across southwest BC, Washington coast, some of the Cascades of Washington. It's losing its punch by the time it gets towards the Oregon Cascades. It does bring a little bit of rain across some of the Puget Sound there, not much west of the Cascades though. And you can see it picks up again a little bit across some of the Rocky Mountains there. But the next system is definitely going to be stronger. As we roll through the day on Saturday, you'll see the clouds, thicken and increase here. And look at Vancouver Island just getting hammered with some precipitation amounts. These are 6-hour totals showing up close to 2 inches for some of these 6-hour periods here for some of Vancouver Island. That moves down towards the Olympic Mountains of Washington. Look at that, up over an inch in 6-hour periods. Some of the North Cascades, Puget Sound getting some rainfall, although there is going to be some rain shadowing here northeast of the Olympics and across some of the Puget Sound lower elevations. But you can see it's definitely a stronger frontal system. This will have some cold air aloft also as we go through the day on Sunday. There is a thunderstorm chance on Sunday. We're going to look at this in more detail in tomorrow's forecast. And then you can see those showers finally wrapping up on the day Monday before the next system starts to arrive. As you see the very end of the run there, kind of moving across western BC. But again, don't want to get caught up in those details too much. Looking at actual snow depth in inches on the European model, we'll scroll through here and you can kind of see it's still October. So, snow that falls, we usually lose a lot of that as we go. But then the next frontal system comes in and it bumps those totals up a little bit. But it's not going to be exceptionally heavy. Like Snoqualmie Pass, it doesn't look like any accumulation is expected as of right now, and a little bit there for Stevens Pass, but it's still October. We're still not in the period of the year where we start to get the good stuff across the higher terrain. Now, total precipitation in inches. Let's scroll through Thursday's system. Looks by the time we get towards Saturday morning, I mean, you just see a few hundredths of an inch for Seattle and, a little bit of light precipitation. Not too much. Better chance across southwest BC, some of the higher terrain there. But as we scroll on in towards this weekend, you can see by the time we get towards Sunday morning, half an inch for Seattle. You're talking a little bit more down across Tacoma, Olympia, I-5 corridor, Olympic Mountains. Look at Vancouver Island. Some of those totals approaching and going up over 3 inches. Some heavier amounts across the North Cascades up to southwest BC as well. We scroll in on the day Sunday. You see Seattle ends up with right about 2/3 of an inch, maybe a little bit more for Portland there. But look at the Cascades, North Cascades, getting some decent precipitation out of this frontal system, no doubt. You see the strong rain shadowing east of the Cascades. Now, on that point, you can also see the rain shadowing there across some of the Puget Sound region also. So some areas ending up with, maybe a quarter of an inch, or some places even a bit less. In some of the surrounding areas like Bellingham, look at that 1.2 inches. Quite the contrast from the rain shadow to some other areas. And if we take a look at the jet stream, we've been watching this for a few days. So here we go. We'll scroll through there and we'll see this weekend system coming right there for the Pacific Northwest. That's the kink in the jet stream right there. A little bit of transient ridging quickly moves through, and then probably another system at some point midweek probably coming up there, and the jet stream gets ramped up. It starts to point out towards the Pacific Northwest. You can kind of see the troughing there right along the west coast of North America with the potent jet stream moving across. So the model's been showing some pretty strong storms out here. I'm going to go over some of that here in a minute in our fantasy forecast episode of this video, looking at the artificial intelligence and the GFS. So let's go ahead and dive right into that. Here we go with Thursday's system. Again, you kind of notice just a little bit of pressure fall across some British Columbia. That's Thursday's system there. Stronger system is for this weekend, and you can see the GFS, artificial intelligence, in pretty good agreement with that storm system there. And then as we go on into next week, you can kind of see we start to diverge a little bit here. Heights stay a little bit higher on the GFS, so that would hold off the rain a little bit longer. They start to fall a little bit more on the artificial intelligence, so that would be next week's system. But what I really want to show you here is these deep lows start to get ramped up on the artificial intelligence. And then as we go on into the extended a little bit more, looks like October 25th or 26th, the models have been pretty good agreement with a strong low pressure system forming somewhere off on our coastal waters. Will it be windy for the interior regions? Maybe, maybe not. A little bit better chance for the coastal regions, but you can see some of these monster lows out there bobbing and weaving around. I mean, look at this 955, just absolute monster right off the coast of Haida Gwaii. And this is a very potent pressure gradient with a secondary low right off the Washington coast. And man, that would bring a pretty windy period here as we go through the 25th into the 26th. And I mean, some of these low pressure systems making some close passes. So that's a result of that hyperactive jet stream. And then we scroll off into the future a little bit more. You can see maybe some atmospheric river potential. Who knows how this is going to line up, but we definitely have some active weather showing up through the extended forecast. And if we take a look at significant wave height, what's that time of year? But right now, things are pretty low key on the coast. We're not getting much in the way of wave action, but that is going to change as we roll through this week. And you can see the waves start to arrive here as you go through Saturday. But again, the stronger frontal system starts to roll in here, and the waves get a bit bigger on Sunday. So Sunday, probably the best wave watching day coming up for Vancouver Island, Washington, Oregon coast. And we get a little bit of a break after that, and then we start to roll some of these bigger systems our way. And look at some of this action, man, as we go on towards the 25th and the 26th. Some huge waves potentially as we go towards the end of October. No promises there, but of course, when you get those big low pressure systems off the coastline, those are going to bring big waves with them. So one more look at it here with the GFS. This is last night's run here, or yesterday afternoon's run. So I do want to show you this. The weekend system rolls through there, and then we worry about next week a little bit. But then the big lows start to show up in the extended forecast. And here we go. So let's take a look at that. You can see the GFS wants to throw a 966 millibar low. You can see some low pressure systems getting closer on the European. And then look at this monster coming across as we go through the 25th and 26th. And you can really see how the models are continuing to show a deep low off our coastline in that time period, October 25th, 26th. So that's what we'll be watching here on a daily basis. And then maybe additional strong storms. Look at the beast that the GFS wants to throw at the coastal areas here. And the European, that's a very potent pressure gradient as well. Even though that low is not as deep as what the GFS is showing, that would be a very windy solution with a deep low racing across the region in both scenarios. So yeah, some fun stuff in the extended. And the Climate Prediction Center and the experimental product has picked up on that as well. You can see the moderate risk for some western Washington, Oregon, slight risk for some other areas, and moderate risk for some heavy snow starting to show up in that time period as well. And also that moderate risk for some high winds for the coastal areas. They've bumped that up a notch also. So they are paying attention here. Glad to see it. And the 8 to 14 day above normal for the west, and that above normal signal with what we just looked at makes sense as we continue on in through the later portion of October. Check out the Worldwide Weather Watch page as well. I did a video today. I'll try to do a couple of those a week. Just a fun channel where I'm just going to go over some of the more interesting stuff going on around planet Earth and just kind of report back to you. Let me know what you guys think about that. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.